as they see it, not to be able to scream out for anything.
There's not a shred of evidence to back up that opinion. That's why
you have the House of Representatives. They're not asking anyone except the House to do it. We're the only one that can impeach.
And you're not going to do it. There's nobody in the House going to do that outside of Maxine Waters. There's nobody going to do it.
No one who knows Dick Cheney is thinking about impeaching George Bush.
So you should be on my side and say these people are diverting attention from the serious problems that we need to solve here.
I hope I never reach that point, Bill.
That you're on my side?
No, that people in the street cannot scream and give vent to their feelings.
You can scream all you want, but I'll scream back that you're nuts.
But I'm not screaming at you. I'm saying people have a right to say impeach the president without you getting frustrated.
I'm not frustrated. I'm just calling it what it is. This is the no-spin zone. It's insane.
That's different.
It's insane.
If you have your no-spin zone, don't have it at the expense of freedom of the speech, who people love this country and are screaming for impeachment for whatever reason. People in the United States of America are entitled to do that.
No, they're entitled to do it, but I'm entitled to point out how foolish and misguided they are.
Yeah, but, you know, when you talk about freedom of speech, I think you ought to be a little looser and not uptight about that.
I'm not uptight.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And you can't.
But it hurts us.
Ridiculous.
It hurts every one of us because we're diverting attention away from the real problem. The real problem isn't the Bush administration, although absolutely they booted the war in Iraq. The real problem is Islamic terrorists who want to kill us. And you guys in the House and the President and the Senate should be working together to try to protect us and solve this problem, not diverting attention into the fringe.
You know, the American people have spoken. That's the only reason why the Democrats are in charge now.
Now we want you to do something.
They're frustrated with the president. And
now we want you to do something, so do something.
Not one scintilla of evidence as to why we got involved in this war. The president has said he's made mistakes. He has not given us a way to get out of the war. And what you are saying, I think, Bill, is that notwithstanding his mistakes, the 3,000 Americans that have been killed, the hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, the 30,000 people are wounded, you're saying, don't criticize the president, we're in war. Well, hell, he got us in this war. He's not talking about
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying responsible criticism is fine, but we need to find solutions to Iraq, Iran, Islamic terror, and North Korea, and this stuff isn't helping.
It's not inconsistent to be critical of the president and to say that we have some real problems to deal with.
They have no solutions other than impeachment, which is loony.
When you say they, the American people have no need to tell the president how to get out of this war. He got us in. He's the commander-in-chief, and he should be talking about ways to get us out.
If the Brattleboro newspaper, which is, you know, off the chart left, cared about its country, which I don't think it does, I think it cares about hating Bush, hating Republicans, hating. Then the Brattleboro newspaper in its editorial page would say, this is what we should do in Iraq. This is what we should do in Iran. You know, Congressman, there was a big peace demonstration on Saturday. You weren't there, but some of your colleagues were. We interviewed Fonda and Penn and Sarandon. They didn't have one solution to one problem, Congressman, not one. And that's what I'm asking you and the members of the House to do in both parties. Come up with better solutions. I'll give you the last word.
Any newspapers that you find critical of President Bush, let's you and I go and burn those papers up and eliminate freedom of speech forever. And if you want to find the truth, listen to Bill O'Reilly in the zone where you don't have to worry about
where you have no spin. And then you finally said something that made sense, Congressman. We'd listen to me. I will guide everybody into the no-spin promised land.
And with that, we'll sing together, God Bless America.
All right, Congressman Rangel, always good to see you, man. Thank you.
Good to see you, Bill.
Next on the rundown, a brutal fight in Iraq, and this time the good guys might have won. And later, body language at the State of the Union. What are these people trying to tell us? Upcoming.
Relive the silver screen moments you'll never forget every night in February. Awards season on Movie Grace. The passionate moments, the shocking moments, the uplifting moments, the heart-stopping moments, the exhilarating, painful, scary, intimate, and the memorable moments.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Relive the moments that made you laugh, the moments that made you cry, the moments that will stay with you forever.
I lost my hand!
An award-winning movie you'll love every night at 8:30 in February. Relive the moments, the award-winning moments, with award season on Movie Grace.
Only one channel is dedicated to sports news, day in, day out.
There's the answer.
Across the country and around the world, Fox Sports News has the power to deliver.
Oh, yes.
On and off the field.
So it's going to be a massive challenge.
Back the news channel that puts the focus solely on sport.
Booyah!
Fox Sports News. It's not a sports news break. It's a sports news channel. And it's on all the time.
Take a walk on the wild side this February on Animal Planet. An ancient empire that rose from the sacred portals created by nature. Secrets of the Maya underworld. They have never been caught on film until now. One of the world's rarest primates, woolly jumpers made in Peru. The world's top wildlife filmmakers share stories of animal encounters gone wrong, up close and dangerous. A conservation project to save the black bears from their prison cells across China. Moon bears, journey to freedom. An extraordinary discovery leads to a campaign to save Borneo's most secretive animal, Borneo's pygmy elephant. All this February on Animal Planet.
Impact segment tonight, as you know, the USA is getting more aggressive in Iraq, taking the fight to the enemy. The bad news is that will lead to more casualties, like the 4 soldiers in Karbala who were kidnapped by terrorists wearing U.S. uniforms, and our soldiers were executed. But on the good news front, Iraqi authorities say more than 300 bad guys were killed in a fierce firefight near Najaf. Joining us now from Washington with analysis, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, and from Boston, Fox News military analyst, Colonel David Hunt. Colonel Hunt, begin with you. This Karbala thing is disturbing. Tell us what happened there.
Yeah, just talking to a couple of my guys there. We had classic Trojan horse operation done against us. There was a meeting in Karbala, a security meeting, ironically, in which 6 black armored Suburbans, Chevy vehicles that looked just like the ones Blackwater other companies used, went through 3 Iraqi checkpoints, got inside a U.S. compound guarded by U.S. and Iraqi soldiers, and had a firefight, left that compound with the soldiers you talked about, and about 25 miles later escaped and executed the 4 soldiers, and to yet have not been caught. They found the vehicles and unfortunately dead U.S. soldiers. This is well planned. This was uniforms, U.S. uniforms they had, U.S. M4 weapons they had, and they had ID passes and the wherewithal, money, and timing, training, rehearsing to get this done. It's very disturbing this happened this late in the war in a meeting to talk about security, and we lost some great guys.
All right, so the terrorists had U.S. Army uniforms. They were wearing them. They had IDs. They knew the layout. Colonel McGinnis, of course, this is a violation of Geneva Convention. You can't wear the other side's uniform. And they went in, and not only did they kidnap and kill 4 soldiers, but they got a computer that's pretty important, correct?
Well, I think so, Bill. In fact, you know, it was a month prior that we basically turned it over to these people, this entire security area. And the inside information was right on target. As soon as they took those 4 Americans and that U.S. computer, they hightailed it out of there. They drove due east toward Hilla and then dumped 5 of those vehicles. Apparently, the others they jumped in other vehicles and took off. They left 1 weapon. But it was a AK-47, it appears. So there are some interesting events here that are going on. I think we need to be very cautious how we proceed. I would listen to what our president has said over the last couple of weeks.
Well, this is an inside job, obviously, and very disturbing. Now, the fight in Najaf, Colonel Hunt, The Iraqis are reporting, and I don't know whether we can believe these reports, but you tell me, 300 militants dead, 650 arrested, 2 American soldiers killed, 11 Iraqis killed, 11 Iraqi troops. That seems to be a little one-sided. What are you hearing?
Yeah, same couple. I talked to 2 others also in this fight, and the job is troubling. We had turned the job over to the Iraqi units. This is one of the few Iraqi units we say could operate by themselves. They run up against an outfit no one's heard about called the Children of God. These are Shiite and Sunnis who believe in another Imam, the 12th Imam, who's going to succeed Muhammad. But the disturbing part is that they had better equipment, according to the Iraqis and the people I talked to, than the Iraqi military that was in the area. Bad fight ensues. They call for U.S. help. We lost, I think, a Cobra helicopter. 2 great guys were killed. But the numbers of dead that are claimed by the Iraqis seems a bit much. That I think it was less than 100, and I think the number of captives is around 100. The U.S. is not confirming that what the Iraqi numbers claim. It seems a bit exaggerated, but the problem is this is an Iraqi unit. The Iraqi unit is supposed to be able to fight for themselves.
And they had a call, but once the Americans got there, they put a pretty big hurt, Colonel McGinnis, on the enemy, did they not?
Well, they used fast air. They used helicopters. You know, the 25th Division had some armor as well. You know, Bill, what's interesting about this is that, you know, they had built up this facility for weeks, had trenches, bunkers, very sophisticated. They had ZSUs 24s, Soviet type of weapons, anti-aircraft, 8 vehicles with those mounted on them. They had SAMs, they had fairly sophisticated heavy weapons. These people were well seasoned, perhaps in Fallujah, Ramadi. They had uniforms on of sorts. I mean, this was a professional type of operation, a cult perhaps, because interestingly, they had Shiites, Sunnis, foreigners, a whole mixture. So it was something that I'm very concerned that we missed. Clearly, the Iraqis missed, and if this can happen right along the pathway to Karbala during Ashura, the High Holy Days, this could have been a disaster for the entire area.
Yeah, if they got in and started shooting up civilians who were worshiping. Final question, Colonel Hunt, real quick. Does this look like it has Iranian fingerprints on it?
We don't know yet. The issue, though, is where the extensive weapons and training, suspicious, we don't know yet. Iran can get blamed for plenty of other stuff. The problem is we didn't know about the Children of God, as Bob said.
All right. Gentlemen, thanks very much. We appreciate it. In a moment, a plane full of Americans trapped on a Texas runway for almost 10 hours. How could that happen? And later, the president of CBS News says Katie Couric might not be accepted by the folks. Those stories coming up.
Purses. Just about every woman carries one. Where a woman goes, her purse goes.
Probably just about everywhere.
Women take their purses to restaurants, shopping malls, and public bathrooms. And more times than not, those purses end up on the floor.
Bathroom floors, all over the place. Outside on the ground. I do that all the time.
I put it on the kitchen table, the bathroom floor.
We got to wondering what might end up on women's purses. Could there be germs? And if so, what kinds of germs?
Wow, what is on the bottom of my purse?
We decided to put some purses to the test. We're testing the bottoms of women's purses. You'd almost think nothing would stick to something like this. Oh, this is a good one, yeah. We swabbed 50 purses and took them to a lab for analysis. 24 hours later, we had the results.
What we have here clearly is E. coli, Bacillus species. We have some staph. We have some fungi.
Erhard Bell is a clinical microbiologist who runs pet labs in Medina. He says a few of the purses had nothing on them, what he calls no growth. However, 12 of the 50 purses came back with serious bacterium that could cause illness.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. We have E. coli on here.
Nearly 1 in 4 purses that we had tested had E. coli on it.
Could be a pretty detrimental strain of E. coli. These could really wipe out your intestinal tract, causing possible ulcerations, bleeding, diarrhea, nausea.
That's so gross.
The women who had E. coli on their purses were all shocked at the results.
Wow, I never thought of it like this before, like never.
Do you know what E. coli is?
I've heard of it from like the fair maybe, or from animals.
That's what was on there.
No.
Do you know what E. coli is?
Mm-hmm.
That's what was on your purse. This woman is stunned speechless.
8 is no growth.
Earhart Bell says even though some purses did not have any harmful bacteria on them, it's possible they could have viruses like hepatitis and mono, which do not show up in clinical testing.
Where should I not put my purse?
On the kitchen counter, kitchen table.
That's one of the main places I put it.
Do you ever wonder what's on the bottom of your purse?
No, I don't ever wonder, but...
No, you will now?
Yeah.
They'll think twice about where they set them from now on.
You wipe off your kitchen counters, wipe off the kitchen table after you're done eating. Why not my purse? It's something you touch a lot.
Unresolved Problem segment tonight. In the U.S. airline industry, there is chaos all over the country. The latest stats show lost luggage is approaching an all-time high, and more than 20% of flights in America are delayed, more than 20%. Now, the situation may be becoming dangerous. On December 29th, Kate Hanai, her husband and 2 children were trying to fly from San Francisco to Mobile, Alabama. Because of bad weather, their plane was diverted to Austin, Texas, where it remained on the runway for almost 10 hours, and they wouldn't let anybody off. Now, how could that possibly happen? Joining us now from Washington is Miss Hanai. All right, so everybody understands bad weather, and you don't want to. There's a Delta plane that crashed in Arkansas a few years ago because it was ice, and you don't want to mess with that. Bad weather, you got to go down, you got to land. We got it. Okay. Why wouldn't they let you off the plane?
Well, there was no explanation given. I overheard the transmissions from the tower to the pilots, and they kept promising the pilots a gate. There were plenty of gates available, and it was very surreal. I mean, you know, the time just kept elapsing. Eventually, the toilets brimmed up, and they never came to pump our toilets. We actually saw people walking their dogs on the tarmac off of an adjacent plane at one point.
But here's what I don't understand. All right, you're on an American Airlines flight. You've got flight attendants, you've got pilot, co-pilot, okay?
Yes.
You're on there, all right, an hour goes by. What does the pilot say?
Pilot tells us that after the first hour, he thinks we're still going to take off and get to Dallas. After the second hour, he still thinks we're going to take off and get to Dallas.
All right, so you got 2 hours, and you're going to Dallas to change planes to go to Mobile. Still nothing happens. All right, now people are getting antsy. They're getting hungry. You don't have any food on their plane. As you said, the toilets are backing up. So now you're into a zone where you should let people off. So what do the flight attendants tell you when you say, hey, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. You got to get us off this plane? What do they say?
The flight attendants and the pilot came through and walked through, actually, and told us that they were requesting buses to bring food out to the plane and requesting buses to come take us off the plane because they weren't being allowed a gate. And no buses ever arrived.
All right, so the pilot wanted to go to the gate, and they wouldn't allow the pilot to do so. That's what you're telling me. That's what the pilot said.
That's correct.
Okay, so now there's the pilot, there are the flight attendants, they tell everybody on the plane, we're trying, and nothing happens. All right, now we're into 6 hours, which is inconceivable. 6 hours, you're sitting there on a plane. Now, what are the folks doing? What are the people on a plane? Are they screaming? What are they doing?
Well, on our plane, not yet. They weren't screaming, but they were getting agitated, and they were starting to go forward and talk to the pilot in the cockpit. He had the door open at that point. Once he realized we weren't taking off, he opened the door and allowed people to come up and express their frustration and anger to him. At that point, I went up, at about hour 7, I went up and used the restroom, and that's when I saw the failure going on in the restroom with the toilets, and realized we had a real critical situation. I also overheard a flight transmission from an adjacent plane where the pilot said a dog had just gone to the bathroom on a number of passengers, and they still weren't being allowed a gate, and people were getting sick. So it was a very critical situation, and there was violence on some planes, and police cars were actually circling planes and then taking people off, and those planes just weren't being allowed gates, and we were not ever given an explanation as to why they were not allowed gates.
All right, what finally happened?
Finally, after about 9.5 hours, the pilot decided that the hostility of the plane and the frustration and tolerance level of the people was so high that he didn't have a choice other than to risk his job and take the plane to the gate. So he very slowly taxied the plane around and pulled behind another plane and waited for it to back up at a gate, and then he pulled in. And then it took about 20 minutes for the jetway to move up so we could deplane, and at that point, we get off into the terminal, and there's no restaurants open, no one to greet us to tell us what to do.
All right, and American Airlines ever send you ever explain? Nothing?
We got a postcard, and prior to my leaving to come to Washington, we hadn't received anything yet, but they have said that they're going to send vouchers. A few people have received some vouchers.
Shouldn't happen in America.
Nope.
Should not happen. Ms. Hane,
Nope.
Sinai, thank you. We'll be back with the body language segment. Don't miss it. Coming up.
Can stop us. We are unstoppable because we have And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. But I have a dream. I have a dream that one day
Men will still say, this was their bicycle.
I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant.
When the going gets tough, the tough get revenge. Tough as week. Tough as Charles Bronson. Tough as Steve McQueen. Tough as James Coburn. Tough as Clint Eastwood.
Didn't hear what the bet was.
Your life. Death Wish. And Death Wish 2. Hell is for heroes.
We're dead.
For a few dollars more. A fistful of dynamite. When the going gets tough, the tough get revenge. Tough as Week. Monday, 8:30. Fox Classics.
VH1 is summer loving and we're having a blast. Watch 12 Caucasian contestants battle in the Bronx to be Rap's next great white hope. The White Rapper Show. While actor Tom Sizemore tries to climb out of drug-addled scandal and back onto Hollywood's A-list in the exclusive series Shooting Sizemore. Plus all new episodes of our VH1 faves. Hogan Knows Best, The Surreal Life, Celebrity Fit Club, and Flavor of Love. There's celebrity as far as the bleary eye can see, all summer on VH1.
In the personal story segment tonight, 40-year-old Judy Amaro, a substitute teacher in Connecticut, was in the classroom when hardcore pornography appeared on her computer. Apparently, some of the 11 to 13-year-old students in the class saw the porn. Ms. Amaro says it was a pop-up advertisement situation, but a jury found her guilty of putting minors at risk. Teacher is to be sentenced on March 2nd and faces 40 years in a Connecticut prison. Joining us now from Washington, Fox News correspondent Megyn Kelly, who is following this story. Now, I understand you have a program on Fox News on the weekend, and you're pretty teed off about this or upset about it. Define your objection.
The problem, as I see it, Bill, is that one of the reasons that the jury convicted her, or at least one of the pieces of the prosecutor's case that was important to this trial, was evidence that she supposedly, if you looked at the computer log, had intentionally logged onto these XXX sites. And that was something that was part of her conviction, basically, that she intentionally logged on and the kids saw it. Well, computer security experts tell me that the whole problem with spyware, which can get downloaded onto your computer when you visit totally harmless sites, is that it will bring these pop-ups of these XXX porn sites up there. And then when you look at the computer record, you cannot tell whether it was a pop-up of a XXX site or whether the person intentionally logged on to that XXX site. So the school here was negligent because it let its anti-spyware program expire, and now we don't know whether the teacher intentionally pulled those sites up or whether she was the victim of pop-ups. The circumstances surrounding the incident suggest strongly it was the pop-ups and not the teacher.
Okay, but the jury disagrees with you. The jury found that the woman could have turned off the computer on the first sign of a pop-up. Apparently that happened at 8:20 in the morning. Yet she kept the computer on all day, all day. This is what the jury heard. And when asked why she didn't turn it off the first time a pop-up, which you and I would have done, I believe, if we're in a classroom and you have a situation that you can't control, such as a pop-up, you turn off the computer. She said she didn't know how to turn off the computer, yet she didn't call for any help or ask anybody to do it. So if you're a jury member, you got to say this woman was negligent.
Okay. 2 points. First of all, I can't undermine the jury's findings because I didn't sit in that courtroom and listen to the testimony and make the credibility assessments, and that's what a jury does. So, a hat tip to them for that. But the problem for the jurors, Bill, is that they assessed that credibility and listened to that story without having all of the facts. We don't know how it affected these jurors when they heard that testimony and that explanation. In other words, how they would have reacted if they had had the whole story, which you and I just went through about how pop-ups work versus how an intentional logon works. So with all due deference to the jury, they weren't given all the facts.
Why didn't her defense attorney tell the jury this is how it works and my client didn't have any control over it? Why didn't he do that?
They tried, but the problem for the defense was most of their expert testimony was excluded on a procedural ground because they basically failed to get the evidence over to the prosecutor in time, in a timely manner. So this woman paid the price as a result. And the other thing is,
but
Bill,
wait, hold it. I want to be fair here, but I'm putting myself on the jury. Okay, I wanted to hear about all of this stuff, this pop-up and in and out software. All right, fine. That's a good point you have. But the bottom line for me as a person who doesn't know anything about technology is, why didn't the woman turn off the computer? And the woman couldn't answer the question to anybody's satisfaction.
She says she was told not to touch that computer. Now, of course, if she in fact, well, that's what she says.
If you're a teacher in a classroom and you've got, and this is really vile stuff that kids are seeing and discussing in front of you, and you say, I was told not to turn it.
Well, I got to tell you, listen, I agree with you. That excuse sounds implausible, but I have to tell you from my viewpoint, I mean, if I'm there and this happens to me, I wouldn't turn off the computer because I'd want to preserve the evidence. I'd get the kids out of the classroom, but I wouldn't destroy I'd be worried what would happen.
But you would take action to get the students away.
She said she got out of that classroom immediately and ran to get help. That was her testimony. Now, again, we're back to the jury making a credibility assessment.
The jury didn't believe that for a second because it was so many things happened in a 5-hour period.
But look at the implausibility of the prosecution's case, that this woman who was several months pregnant would have shown up as a substitute teacher and said, hey, 7th graders, it's time for porn.
I don't think she's going to get any jail time. She'll probably just get probation. And it's too bad it's not in Vermont because then we wouldn't get anything. Megan, thanks very much. We appreciate it. We come back. The segment All Washington is waiting for, body language at the State of the Union. What are these people trying to tell us? We will find out. Wake up, John. We'll be right back.
From America's Newsroom, I'm Harris Faulkner. A federal appeals court reinstating a terror charge against accused al-Qaeda operative Jose Padilla. A lower court tossed out the charge of conspiracy to murder, kidnap, and maim people overseas, saying it duplicated other counts in the indictment. The federal appeals court deciding today that's not the case. The conspiracy charge is the only one against Padilla that carries a possible life term. State-run Cuban television showing what it claims is new video of Fidel Castro. It shows a meeting with Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. The story goes they met on Monday. The ailing Cuban dictator temporarily gave up the reins of power to his brother over the summer. That's when Cuba says Fidel underwent intestinal surgery. President Bush pushing free trade in a road trip to Middle America. He stopped by a Caterpillar plant in Illinois. The president saying it would be a bad mistake to restrict trade with other countries. Mr. Bush saying expanding free trade agreements will help our economy keep growing. Some Democrats argue free trade policies cost Americans their jobs. Consumer confidence reaching its highest level in nearly 5 years. The research group that puts out an index of consumer sentiments reporting this month's jump was greatly fueled by an improving job market, but it says consumers appear to be concerned that job market conditions could possibly decline. I'll see you for the next news break. It's in about an hour. The O'Reilly Factor returns right after the break.
This is Fox News Extra. I'm Lauren Green. Imagine going to some of the most exotic locations around the world, and you don't have to pay for a hotel room. Fox's Shirley Chan introduces us to a service that allows you to swap homes for a free vacation.
The Kirshners from Newtonville and their 3 boys exchange their home once a year and have been to Ireland, France, and Hawaii.
I'll print out the listing and hand it around to the kids and say, you know, what do you think?
The Scullys traded their Reading home to take their daughters to Europe and beyond. They're not the only ones enjoying the view. 11,000 homes are listed on homeexchange.com. The founders came up with the idea years ago as a way to see the world without paying for pricey hotels. The concept is simple. You pay $59.95 for a 1-year membership, then scroll through all the listings. You can stay as close as a townhouse in Boston, travel to London, Paris, and Rome, or even exchange with people in more exotic and unusual locales. Qatar, Estonia, you name it, it's here. Read the family profiles and find a good match. You stay in their home, they stay in yours.
You're a guest in someone's home, but as soon as you walk through the door, it's understood you're responsible for the house, the car, and anything else you may use.
And those other people are responsible for your house. An uncomfortable idea for some, considering you're trading with strangers, sometimes from another part of the world. The website does not perform background checks or accept responsibility for anything that goes wrong.
It is a leap of faith.
It's up to you to ask all the questions. The Scullys feel they've made friends for life with their fellow exchangers.
We send them Christmas gifts. It's like you have a friend across the globe somewhere.
The rewards are albums full of memories and well-traveled kids who have big ideas for their next trip.
Why is this former president being accused of anti-Semitism again? The man behind a new Carter controversy speaks on Hannity and Combs. Plus, who fathered her baby? Is the buxom blonde getting booted from her home? Anna's former flame has answers tonight on The Record. Combating global terrorism, the war in Iraq, battles on the Hill, illegal immigration. What's the real cost to our economy? Wednesday, it's Neil Cavuto's exclusive one-on-one interview with President George Bush. The #1 show that dominates cable news, The O'Reilly Factor.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly on our weekly body language segment tonight. We have lots of stuff for you, including Jane Fonda, Tim Robbins, and the Hillary Clinton deal about evil men. Ooh. But the most interesting body language we saw last week, of course, happened at the State of the Union address, where a variety of politicians reacted to President Bush's speech. Now, I personally got a kick out of the Dick Cheney-Nancy Pelosi dynamic, and there's John McCain doing his Rip Van Winkle impression. And Ted Kennedy, where is the Haagen-Dazs stand posture? Those stand out for me, and I'm sure our body language expert will have a lot more insight than I do. I hope she will. Anyway, and here she is, Tanya Ryman. All right, let's get right to it. Now, we have Hillary and Obama listening to President Bush. What are they actually saying with their bodies?
Which clip are we looking at first?
Well, we should have it up. There we go. Okay. See, she's sitting in back of him, and there we go.
Okay, so Hillary has a very bored look about her face. If you look at, she's doing a very slow blink, which tells me she's very bored during this section. Obama is at least doing a little bit of an evaluative gesture. He has his hand to his face, and he's thinking about what's being said.
But he's not looking at the president. He's looking down.
He doesn't need to be.
No?
He's going through. The thought process is there. He's not literally holding his head up, which would be boredom. He's thinking about what's being said.
Now, Hillary just looks like a zombie right there.
Yes, she does. And look at Ted Kennedy right next to Obama. He's doing the same thing. He's not enjoying this, and you could tell that because he's covering his mouth. When you see someone covering their mouth like that, they don't like what's being said.
Is that right?
Yes.
So when you cover your mouth when you're listening to somebody?
You don't like what's being said.
Ah. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, Pelosi and Cheney, I love this. They had to sit next to each other for the first and probably the last time. No, they have to do it again next year. They never look at each other.
No. No. You could see, look at how Cheney's clapping his hands, first of all. You could see the boredom there. He's not thrilled about this. And then when he goes to stand up, do you see that lip purse that he does?
Yes.
It's a very sarcastic grin, and you could really tell he's not into that. You know, when you look at Pelosi, she obviously has something in her mouth that she's sucking on. But what's telling
She has a little breath mint or something,
yeah,
you
there's
think?
something. I think they both did, but she's definitely sucking on something. Which
Oh, look at that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
she's got a little Tootsie Roll in there or something. She's eating a little candy.
she's
Is
sucking
that
on
allowed?
something.
Well, are you telling me that Dick Cheney didn't want to applaud for what Bush was saying?
I think that he did not feel it. He was just kind of going through the motions. That's the impression. Look at the way he's clapping his hands. That's telling me it's not really that sincere.
So he
was
wants
more
to be
going
home
through the
watching
motions.
TV.
Yeah, watch his mouth as he does this. When he goes to stand up, you can see that lip. The lips are just not happy to be there.
I don't know why he's not happy. He's a vice president. Okay, the next one is McCain. Now, did McCain really fall asleep during his speech?
No, no. He looks like he's sleeping, but he's not. You can tell in a moment, see the mouth movement, and then you'll see him blink. So although there was a lot of talk about it, he's actually awake. Just looking down, perhaps he's looking at his notes. Maybe he's doing a little bit of...
I think his eyes are closed.
They're not. No, they're not.
He's got a little peeking at it?
He's got a little blink going on that you can
you sure?
see.
Because I look like that when I go to the opera. This is what I look like when I'm ballet.
Yeah, see the mouth?
Yeah, I see it, but you can do that when you're asleep. No?
Not really.
You're really sure he's awake, huh?
I would
believe
say.
I could have taken his wallet, and he would not have known it in that posture.
Yeah, he does look like it, but no, he's looking down.
All right. Let's go to Ted Kennedy, who, again, was, you said, not liking us because he had... Now, he doesn't have his hand on his mouth. He has his hand on his ear. What does that mean?
He starts off evaluative. He's holding his hand to his face, so he's thinking about it. But what's interesting here, he adjusts the glasses, and then instead of moving his hand back down, he starts to do this head thing, which is like almost an imaginary headache. Like it's
well, he might have a real
overwhelming feeling.
Here.
He's not feeling like
this.
he's enjoying this now.
Now, he doesn't look like he's having a good time.
Right, exactly.
Okay, let's get to some sound. And obviously the big thing of the week was Hillary Clinton's evil men comment.
Yes.
Roll the tape.
We face a lot of evil men. You know, people like Osama bin Laden comes to mind. And what in my background equips me to deal with evil and bad men? I thought I was funny. You know, you guys keep telling me, lighten up, be funny. You know, I get a little funny, and now I'm being psychoanalyzed.
What say you?
Well, you know, she starts off with this movement of her upper body, which indicates that she was nervous when she first starts talking. Watch how she sways back and forth. It's almost childlike the way she moves back and forth. And then when she tries to make the first point, you could see her mouth and her head jut forward. She's making her point, and I believe it was Osama bin Laden when she said this. And then see, that's the point she's trying to emphasize. Now, as she goes further, she does a couple little things. First, she makes that little smirk as she's talking. It's almost as if she's thinking about whether or not she's really about to say the next sentence. I don't think that this sentence was scripted because this seems like there's the little girl posture.
Right.
Okay.
I'm
she's
bad.
Got, she's got that whole little girl
you think she was
posture.
thinking, I know you can't tell us, but Bill Clinton, was that?
I don't know, because then she kind of reneges on that thought by talking about, no, it was really Osama bin Laden I was referring to. But she does a lot of things here. If she would rock
back like that, it wouldn't be about bin Laden. It'd have to be something a little more personal, I would think.
She was very childlike, almost endearing. There was a head tilt going on, so she was trying to kind of, you know, appeal to the viewers.
Okay. I want to run in Jane Fonda, who we caught up with at the anti-war rally. Go ahead.
Are you concerned about what will happen to the Iraqis if we leave?
I'm concerned about what's happening to the Iraqis right now.
What do you think about what happened to the 3 million Vietnamese and Cambodians who died after the U.S. troops left Vietnam?
It's too bad that we caused it to happen by going in there in the first place.
Now, she won't look at Porterberry.
Absolutely. No respect. That was just a definite sign of, I'm not even acknowledging you.
Right.
She starts off doing a couple of things. Her mouth is downward, so she's obviously annoyed when he first starts to speak to her. And now as she's towing her man behind her, you can tell that she's the one in charge of this relationship, but she still needs him for comfort. So, you know, he's trying to squeeze in between. But you can see that she's clearly annoyed by the fact that she doesn't look at him. And she also leaves her mouth open a little bit, which is a sign of annoyance.
So she's just annoyed at the whole thing.
Yes.
And what does it mean when you wear green sunglasses?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
No,
Because I don't know either, but she had them. All right, Tanya, always instructive. Thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And our BillO'Reilly.com poll question asks you, will Barack Obama defeat Hillary Clinton for the Democratic presidential nomination? Yes or no? Give the results in a few days. Coming next as the factor moves along. The guy in charge of CBS News says America might not be ready for Katie Couric anchoring that broadcast. We'll get reaction from 2 Fox News female anchors moments away.
Tom, it's Robert. Kate's gone into labor.
The child is dead. And you must accept God's plan. You could adopt. Your wife need never know. God will forgive this little deception.
Who's that?
That's our son.
He's perfect.
There's something about Damien. Something's not right.
What has happened was prophesied in the Bible.
When I close my eyes, I see horrible things.
He killed before. He'll kill again. He'll kill till everything that's yours is his.
What are you talking about?
Your son, son of the devil.
Watch it now, only on Foxtel Box Office.
Kill me.
Oh, no, respect the animals, them, you know. Anywhere we go, people wanna know. Around where we go around the world. Around the animal kingdom we go. Around the world. Around the animal planet we go. Some animals you see where they're so very small. Some animals weigh less than a pound. Some animals you see where they're so very tall. Some animals don't make a sound at all. Some animals spend their life running. Some animals don't do nothing at all. Some animals spend their life flying. Some animals sleep upside down. We go around the world. Around the animal planet we go. Round the world. Round the animal planet we go. We go around the world. Respect the animal kingdom we go. Round the world we go. Round the animal planet we go. Live up, Rasta. Round the world.
Back at the book segment tonight, as you may know, the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric remains third in a field of 3. The former Today Show star has not improved the ratings of that broadcast. And in the trade journal Broadcasting and Cable, CBS News President Sean McManus said this, quote, I think it's a fact there are probably people, both men and women, who are perhaps uncomfortable having a woman anchor the news. The way she is scrutinized, I think a lot that has to do with gender. Joining us now with a reaction from Boston, Fox News correspondent Julie Banderas, who hosts Big Story Weekend. Here in the New York studio, Karen Chetney, who co-hosts Fox and Friends on Saturday and Sunday, and the 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. broadcast every day. Now, Miss Couric has lost about 3 million viewers from her debut. And what do you think is going on?
I don't know if it's so much that she's a woman, it's just she's Katie. I mean, she was famous. She was a celebrity. People take pictures of her on the red carpet. Sometimes I wonder, do people have to sort of look past Katie to get their news? And is that what they feel like doing as they're sitting at home with their families?
Yeah, but I mean, she, on the Today Show, did the heavyweight interviews, and she is a person who has a repertorial background. And now she gets a big shot with a lot of publicity, and people look in and they say, some of them say, no, I don't want it. Why do you think?
I don't know. Maybe we are analyzing it a little bit too much, because technically she's only 1 million viewers behind ABC.
Yeah, but when you get a 10-5 debut and you're down to 7-5 within, what, 6 months or something, that's not heading in the right direction. What do you think, Julie? You think it's a woman being put in a position of high expectations?
First of all, I have to say that I think that Sean McManus, the president of CBS, is selling out to his #1 anchor, the first female to ever solo. I think it has nothing to do with that. The fact that her ratings were so high on her debut has nothing to do with it. When Bob Schieffer was in there, he was getting 7.4 million people a night. She's getting 7.5. And let's face it, NBC, ABC, CBS have all slumped in the ratings since 2004. NBC has lost over 2 million viewers since Peter Jennings stepped down. And then Tom Brokaw, his show, has lost about, I don't know, 2 million viewers. So I think it has nothing to do with gender.
Right,
and maybe you don't like Katie.
Who doesn't?
I think a lot of people don't. I went into a coffee shop.
Why would they not? Because she was so dominant in the morning and so successful in the morning and #1 in the morning, and they shift her over to the evening and they pay her a lot of dough and they give her a lot of build-up, so everybody knows she's there. And then, as I said, you know, if you open strong, you don't expect to keep all of the drive-by people, but...
I hate to say it, but gender bias exists. If you were to tell all your viewers right now to shut your eyes and tell us what color is Bill O'Reilly wearing, shirt and tie, and then what are Kieran Chetry and Julie Banderas wearing, we'll probably remember our outfits first.
And thank God not the same color.
It's not sexy to look at, Bill.
Okay,
exactly.
but wait.
And it's not
This is interesting.
When you say sexism belongs out
when
of
you
this
say
business,
gender bias, does that mean that there are men and women who don't want to see a female anchor doing the evening news?
I don't agree. There are men and women. I believe that there are men and women who are not ready, #1, to see a woman, although many people I spoke with today say that they want a woman. They don't necessarily think that Katie Couric is the one. She kind of has the Hillary Clinton factor, as many people
I think
pointed out to me
she's an excellent talent. I really do.
This is the thing. She's getting more viewers than she was in the Today. I mean, Today's show got 5.6 million.
Yeah,
they were clearly the morning leaders. Right, it's a different time slot. But there are people, take Diane Sawyer, for example. Her 2020 special that she had a few days ago on living in poverty was the top rated in the 18 to 54 demo. So clearly, Diane Sawyer is somebody who translates not only in the mornings, but also at night, and she's a woman.
Real quick, if there was one reason you would point to that Katie Couric has performed below expectations, what would it be?
It's that Katie Couric has become too big. She's an entity. Katie Couric is Katie Couric.
All right,
she's not just a woman. She's over. I mean, she's the highest paid. She makes $15 million a year. She's a celebrity. And so
too much
I don't
star
think people,
power in the seat. Real fast, Julie, why is she underperforming? Biggest reason?
Because CBS News needs to maybe perhaps reevaluate the way that they cover their news, because they've been #3 since 2004.
Okay, so you think it might be the presentation rather than the presenter. Ladies, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
You look great tonight, Julie.
All right, ladies. Now, you see, now it's the outfits. All about the outfits. I'm not even here. You're talking about gender bias. I'm not even here. We'll be right back with the most ridiculous and some of your mail.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rudy Bakhtiar with the Fox News Extra. It's additional coverage we include in our international broadcasting for you. Now, some news you might find interesting.
It's to be called Enchantment, a $175 million high-rise on Clearwater Beach with a dramatic 60-foot arch, 90 luxury condos priced at $1 million plus.
It's shaped like a butterfly, and it's very, very unique that it's the most spectacular architecture, I would say, in the United States for condominium beachfront living.
It's Uday Lele's fourth high-rise on Clearwater Beach. In the business world, Lele enjoys a unique view based on his principles for success.
And the first one is that you must provide a product that is distinctively superior to anything else out there in the marketplace.
And so he brought this to the table, the juicy gummy bear. 16 years ago, Lele was the first to put real fruit juice in candy. He later sold his brand, Juicy Gummy, to a multi-billion-dollar food conglomerate.
I enjoy doing things that nobody else has done before. This is the terraces on the 10th floor.
Before coming to the U.S. nearly 20 years ago, Lele built successful businesses in India, in steel, then chemicals and pharmaceuticals, some things he didn't know much about.
And you attribute a lot of your success simply to asking people.
Have you asked something that you don't know? Have you chosen to seek the knowledge that you don't have? I've found that people have shared knowledge with me that I would never, ever gotten in any college or school in the world. And when you're closing the drawers, see how they close very softly.
He'll be the first to tell you his degree in chemistry doesn't sell a condo. He has asked 1,000 people 1,000 questions, like how to build a building that looks like a butterfly.
It's a beautiful space because it's almost 50 feet high here.
For Uday Lele, success is sweet, but with simple ingredients. Think unique and think to ask how to build a butterfly building or a better gummy bear.
Time now for the most ridiculous item of the day. Southern California is famous for skateboard dudes and has been for years. But now there's one big kahuna who's really making a mark. Tyson the dog. There he is. Has been skateboarding for almost 5 years. He's self-taught, Tyson is. And he's rad, as you can see. Tyson also parlaying his skateboarding skills. He has a website, skateboardingbulldog.com. Tyson's been in a few movies, and he's generally living large in Huntington Beach. Now, Tyson would not comment on the situation because he's unable to talk. He's a dog, we think. Ridiculous? Not the way Tyson is shredding. That's skateboard lingo for those of us in the know. My board's right over there. I'll be skating out of here in a second. Finally tonight, the Mail, a huge reaction to our segment with Jane Fonda, Susan Sarandon, Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, anti-war protesters, all. That segment was very highly rated by BillO'Reilly.com premium members, and because interest in it is so high, tomorrow we will play you more of those interviews, all brand new stuff. Jackie Dixon, Vallejo, California. Bill, I thought Tim Robbins' reply to the Iran question was adequate. It always amazes me that young people who support the war don't enlist. So let me get this straight, Jackie. When Factor producer Porter Berry asked Mr. Robbins about the danger from Iran, he said Porter should enlist in the military. You found that answer adequate? Wow. John Hall, Kansas City, Missouri. Bill, Porter Berry did an excellent job posing your questions to the celebrities and unmasked them for the unserious people they are. Bill Namassny, Elk Grove Village, Illinois. Bill, you call the protesters in Washington far left. I guess that makes me and 70% of Americans far left. Don't know about you, sir, but my definition of far left is someone who believes the USA is doing a bad thing in Iraq. Not the wrong thing, a bad thing. Big difference. Brendan Bowen, Santa Quinn, Utah. O'Reilly, your point about Saddam violating the Gulf War ceasefire is not valid. Any agreement signed under duress cannot be binding. So I guess that means the Civil War will start up again soon. Right, Brendan? Enjoy the Kool-Aid. Chuck Jensen, Naples, Florida. Bill, thank you for correctly pointing out that Saddam violated the ceasefire 17 times. If Americans understood the Iraq situation, we'd win. Doug Knott, Weldon, Illinois. O'Reilly, I'm an Iraq war vet. The media must report the truth in Iraq. You do a better job than most, but still get only a D-. I did my job, you do yours. Well, I'm trying to do my job, sir. I believe our reporting has been accurate. As far as I know, if we've been unfair or inaccurate, please provide the evidence. Michael Chaput, Ontario, Canada. Looks like Hanoi Jane is now Jihad Jane. Thomas Carroll, Sydney, Australia. O'Reilly, your report on the Iraq peace rally was rubbish and a new low in journalism. Mr. Carroll, looks like you're one of those guys who just can't handle the truth. Our report was 100% accurate. P.J. Donahue, Dana Point, California. O'Reilly, you were rude to Congressman Rohrbacher. I figured the 2 Border Patrol agents were found guilty because of payoff. Sounds like you are in on this evil. If you have information about bribery, sir, please pass it along to me immediately. If not, you're a nut. John Chrisman, Cardiff, California. As a former federal agent, I believe that anyone who falsifies a report deserves to be fired and probably in prison. And James Tang, Waterville, Maryland. I'm a senior at Colby College and recently checked out Culture Warrior from the library. It's a nice balance to this liberal campus. Appreciate that, James. And thank you to everyone who has bought Culture Warrior, especially on BillO'Reilly.com, where for each copy sold, we send one to our troops overseas. How about our website, www.foxnews.com/O'Reilly. And please email us with pithy comments from anywhere in the world, O'Reilly@foxnews.com, O'Reilly@foxnews.com. Name and town, if you wish to opine. Please do not be mendacious when writing to us, or lugubrious, or a popinjay. That's it for us today. Thanks for watching The Factor. Please listen to Radio Factor. Check out BillO'Reilly.com. I am Bill O'Reilly. Do hope to see you again next time. Remember, the spin stops right here, because we're looking out for you. Hannity and Combs will have Mark Stein. Guys,
thank you very much, Bill. Thanks, Bill. Welcome to Hannity and Combs. I'm Alan Combs. Coming up tonight, global warming hysteria hitting the world as the UN prepares to release a controversial report, but not everybody's in agreement about what's happening tonight. We have two controversial opinions that the mainstream media is ignoring. And Hillary Clinton's office was the scene of a protest today, but they weren't conservatives. We'll have the tape, and you'll meet one of them. Plus, a Hannity and Combs exclusive, new allegations of anti-Semitism against Jimmy Carter. You're not going to believe these.